bet me house on having the standings and the grid for the British Talent Cup. Can I find them? Can I? Oh, I'm just sorry, James. Could you just have a look? What's those sheets of paper out there? Could you just check them for me?
That's mine, sorry.
Oh, mate. Oh, no. Sorry, that's the old one.
Is that the old one?
Josh Brooks then takes his 18th career victory here at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. What a record the man has. And of course, he's won the championship here before. The Australian national anthem rings out once more. We had it yesterday for Jason O'Halloran, this time around for Josh Brooks. Who's it to be in the third race and championship decider? This is what happened in the Honda British Talent Cup yesterday. Off the start then, a flying start for Franco Born on the Franco Born Racing SP125 Honda. And initially he was challenged at the front, but it wasn't going to last because the boy from Crooktown in County Durham had one heck of a lot of pace on him. Initially though, Harvey Claridge did get into this north versus south battle with him, and the lad from Stenning down in West Sussex looked strong. But Claridge then began to drop back into the grip of the flyweight 13-year-old Casey O'Gorman, and O'Gorman it was who fought with him until this moment on the final lap going into Surtees. The two collided. A furious Claridge reckoned it was O'Gorman's fault at the front. Franco Born led the way by something like 25 seconds over Charlie Farah, and former championship lead Ed O'Shea had a torrid time against Evan Belfield and Corey Tinker. He managed to split them across the line, but Bourne was the absolute victor and he dominated. So the Honda British Talent Cup race 2 of the afternoon, round the 2.4332, shall we call it 2.5 mile Brands Hatch, picturesque Brands Hatch circuit here in the glorious autumn leafy surrounds of Kent. It's warmer today by a couple of degrees, and it's quite noticeable. And I'm almost overheated instead of fighting off the cold here in our comms box. And you can see that the autumn shades are closing in around the southeast of England as we hit mid-October. Franco Bourne put himself well into contention, of course, with that race win. 6 points off race leader Charlie Farrer on the Victoria House Racing Academy bike. This is Casey O'Gorman, and I hardly felt it was his fault, that collision yesterday, bless him. He was in there holding his line on the instant, just got the power on and drifted slightly wide, and the two touched and went down, and Harvey Claridge was suitably furious. And this is Harvey Claridge on number 16, currently 5th in the championship, so it's pretty much messed up his chances of a championship victory on the Nova racing bike. And the next man is the man in the box seat. Now that 141 points, getting that fortunate second place after that collision that took out the other two who were on the second row with him, put Charlie Farrer 6 points in the lead. So Farrer's task, if nothing else, is to get the Victoria House Racing, Rich Mortimer Racing Honda across the line. If he gets across the line in second place, if Franco Bourne shows that stunning pace from yesterday, it will be good enough to seize that championship, because it will give him a 1-point victory if he's brave enough to think that way. What would you be doing, young Neil Mackenzie? Would you be thinking to myself, I want to go out with a race win, or would you be thinking, actually, second place will do?
A race win, I think, and I think he's more than capable of doing that. So it's, yeah, I think for all of these kids, I don't think there's going to be any strategies there. They need to just get their head down. Trying to work out some kind of strategy or your position in the race is very difficult. So certainly the biggest part of the race will be head down and just all trying to win.
Number 17, the man who's got the pace, Franco Bourne, with that wicked fastest lap of 1:37.66 yesterday, which was stupendously quicker than anybody else. And also in warm-up this morning, obviously it was a bit damper, he did a 39.7, which was 3/4 of a second faster than Harvey Claridge, his closest competitor. So Franco Bourne has been proving his pace. I'd love to know what it is about Brands Hatch. I guess some people just fall in love with Brands Hatch, do they, Neil?
I don't know any riders that don't like Brands Hatch. The contours of the track, the backdrop, the scenery, the nature of the track, it really does have everything, and you get a great impression of speed, especially out the Grand Prix part of the track where you're flying through the trees. So just an all-round brilliant racetrack.
Well, obviously Franco Bourne likes it. You can see he's actually third in the championship. So Charlie Farrer has a 3-point advantage over former leader Eddie O'Shea. So O'Shea could take it if he beat Farrer and just reverse that. Franco Bourne, he'll be looking to win, and he certainly has the pace to. So it's up to what the others do behind him. Casey O'Gorman now out of it, as is Harvey Claridge, hence Claridge's fury after their collision. Evan Belford's come on really strongly towards the end of the season, is in 6th place. Corey Tinker was impressive yesterday, the boy from Ipswich. 8th in the championship is James Cook, ahead of Elliot Dufton and Harrison Crosby. Ryan Hitchcock is 11th, ahead of Ollie Walker. Bailey Stewart Campbell, who lost the middle part of the season injured, is in 13th, ahead of Jamie Lyons, who also looked strong yesterday. And Annabelle Thomas down in 19th place. So the starting grid has Franco Bourne on pole position. Look at the gap, a second quicker than Harvey Claridge in a single lap time. Casey O'Gorman in 3rd. So those two are out of contention. Franco's rival is Charlie Farrer. He's ahead of Evan Belford and Corey Tinker. And then, of course, the man in between Farrer and Franco Bourne is Eddie O'Shea. He's 7th on the grid, ahead of Ollie Walker and Jamie Lyons, with Elliot Dufton, Bailey Stewart Campbell and Ryan Hitchcock on the 4th row. So the front three in the championship. There's number 8 Eddie O'Shea having to pull up on the 3rd row of the grid. Ahead of him is Charlie Farrer, and ahead of number 71. There are the 3 championship combatants all together on that left-hand side of the grid. And that's the high side. That's the preferred side to start from.
Yeah, because if you're up there, it's actually downhill start, because you can veer off to the right as you're heading forward on the grid, and it helps you. The parts of that grid that's uphill, downhill, is quite tricky. Franco Bourne's pace yesterday was incredible. It will be really interesting to see if any of the other guys have stepped up to the plate. Oh, I've got someone broken down there. Oh, that's Ollie Walker. Ollie Walker from Highbridge on the Motor Rapido SP. 125.
So
Team
that's
machine.
a great shame for Ollie then, as he paddles desperately and gets pushed off. And I think Harry Cook's entered the pits, and we're going on one more warm-up lap after that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Track temperature is quite cool. They've been sitting a long time on the grid, so temperatures would have dropped. So you can see riders gesticulating, and that's because their engines, when they're sitting ticking over, do heat up. You see all the guys with the leaf blowers waiting there till the last minute, trying to cool things down, get some air into the radiators. So another warm-up lap makes sense. Just try and keep your temperature down in the engine, but the temperature up in the tyres. And like you said, I'm so happy that the temperature has come up a little bit today. 15 degrees, a decent track temperature to get the tyres working on the early laps. And it's a quite pleasant 12 degrees ambient temperature.
That's intriguing then, because so the track temperature always rise that much percentage higher than the ambient temperature, James?
Yes.
Neil, because the ambient temperature goes up 2 degrees, the track temperature's gone up about 5.
Yes.
From yesterday.
Yeah, and the temperature in the track, it holds the temperature, whereas the ambient temperature just obviously fluctuates a lot more, but track temperature always is higher than the ambient temperature.
I've never thought about this before, but does a track get warmer as more tyres use it? Or is it irrelevant?
No, but more rubber goes down, and the more rubber that's down, the more grip you've got, especially if it's all Dunlop rubber that's going down, then the more rubber that's down, the more riders that are riding around, the better it is for everyone else.
What about if it's Pirelli rubber that's gone down? Does that still benefit these kids?
That's something that's come into play recently. Recently is, especially in MotoGP, the Dunlop guys complain when the Michelin MotoGP guys have been out, and then Moto3 and Moto2 go out, and it upsets their grip, so, and vice versa. So it's something that hasn't really been talked a lot about before, but current science tells us that it does affect different tyre manufacturers putting down rubber.
Ollie Walker, incidentally, he's out there, look, but he starts from the back of the grid, so he'll just have to prove his prowess by trying a charge through. Unfortunately, no such misfortune has befallen the young men who are at the front. This is going to be a really fascinating battle, and it's going to be decided in the next. There are 3 points, and then 3 points between first and second, second and third. They're all lined up on the left side of the grid, so you could say it's absolutely and completely all to play for here, and will be decided in the next half an hour.
13 laps this time, 1 lap less.
So 1 lap less for these lads to sort it out. There's Eddie O'Shea just lining himself up.
They're holding them quite a long time. The riders and mechanics will be getting stressed with the engine temperature creeping up. Looks like we're good to go.
Okay, so let's get those red lights on when they're off. 13 laps ahead of these kids. And Franco Bourne instantly gets a great start, and Charlie Farrar tries to follow him and get around the outside of Harvey Claridge, but I don't know whether the young man's done it. Oh, he has managed to, but Casey O'Gorman, of course, is quick, and he notches into second place. Charlie Farrar in third.
Clean start there for Casey O'Gorman. That was a brilliant start, nicely slotting in.
And down goes 2 riders go down. Whoa, and that might have been Eddie O'Shea, one of those. Eddie O'Shea might have gone down. I think he has. Is that O'Shea? That means his championship is gone. The kid who led on the way into the championship. I think it's Eddie O'Shea, but I'm still not convinced.
Yeah, that's the Wham machine.
Oh, and look at him giving an earful of invective to the young man who must have taken him out. Oh, well, you can imagine him, you can understand the upset.
Yeah.
So Eddie then goes out, and suddenly it's a 2-horse race, as we see. And look at this, Casey O'Gorman stomps his way past the bigger figure of Harvey Claridge. He is, of course, lighter and quicker in a straight line. Yeah. I beg your pardon, Franco O'Bourne.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Charlie Farrar is, if he gets mixed up behind these two, he's got to keep somewhere near Franco Bourne, because otherwise Bourne is going to overturn that six-point deficit.
Very much so. I think Franco Bourne wasn't expecting that. He did get a clean start, but a nice whole shot off the line. Had an amazing pace yesterday. I'm sure he thought he was going to bring that today, but Casey O'Gorman's got different thoughts. And Casey O'Gorman, incidentally, Shaky Byrne showing an interest in this young lad and trying to guide him for future years, so he's in good hands.
Only turned 13 on the 8th of August, so he's like 13 years and 2 months, and here is leading the way from the bigger boys as we see Harvey Claridge make a move inside Charlie Farrer, and that's the sort of interference that Farrer would have been desperately hoping to avoid. And then there's number 8, Eddie O'Shea, still absolutely distraught. He reminds me a little bit of... Oh, here, let's have a look.
Yeah, just... Oh, wow. Clipped, yeah, he got clipped on the way in there. As Eddie O'Shea was turning in quite innocently. There's a rider on his inside. And clipped and obviously just catapulted him off the track. So unlucky. He made a decent start in the top 6 or 7 there. And that is the end of his championship. Yeah, such a shame.
Do you remember when Nicky Hayden got taken out by
Danny Pedrosa?
No, it was Tony Ilias. Oh no, was it Pedrosa? Sorry, it was Pedrosa. Yeah. I beg your pardon, in Estoril, and that was it. He was bouncing and livid like that, wasn't he? He thought his championship had gone. Well, and it hadn't, as it turned out. That was 2006, but unfortunately for Eddie O'Shea, it has. As we watch Charlie Farrer fighting back. He's got to fight back on that Victoria House Rich Mortimer racing bike, because he needs to stay right there as close as possible to the Franco Vaughan on the second lap of 13.
Yeah, and I suspected the other guys have found a little bit of dry pace. They came straight from a wet track into the dry race yesterday, and maybe some of them had the half-dry setting on the bike, suspension maybe a little bit soft. So, but Franco Vaughan certainly got things dead right. But it's much nicer today when they've all got much closer. We've got a four-way battle already here on to lap 3 of 13.
Harvey Claridge keeps taking a look. Wide entrance there to paddock from the second place Franco Vaughan. Maybe looking, and here comes Harvey Claridge this time, making that move inside the wider line of Charlie Farrer. And race control having a look at that crash. Look at that Runcible hat on the left. That's 11-time British champion Roger Marshall having a look at things. Good to have an ex-rider involved in that.
Yeah, no,
I think that was just unlucky, wasn't it? I mean, it gets crowded at the top of Haywood
It's so
Hill.
difficult first lap, bit of a bottleneck, so many different lines in there, everyone trying to find the space, but he's just unlucky to get clipped. It certainly wasn't deliberate.
And that's what happens in the championship, unless Charlie Farrer can do something like that. He tries to zap back inside Harvey Claridge. He's fighting for his title here. The two County Durham boys locked together now in second and third place at 17 versus 71. They are the championship contestants. And of course, if number 17 Franco Vaughan gets straight away going through Dingle Dell, retaliation from Harvey Claridge, who's probably still livid about yesterday actually, and is determined to try and get on terms with those guys in front of him. As Casey O'Gorman, what a long look over his left shoulder then.
Cheeky look back. And,
that was, wasn't it? Experienced little guy, of course, being in the cool Fab British Championships and mini GP 70s and all sorts of stuff in his very young racing life.
It just seems like 2 minutes ago Casey O'Gorman took that opening round win at Donington Park, and he looked very dominant.
He looked unbeatable.
Yeah, he would. Well,
he did.
The first three races he finished, he won, and a few DNFs along the way. So just been a little bit unlucky.
At this point, Charlie Farrer just struggling a little bit there on the Victoria House Racing Academy. Rich Mortimer, backed by former 125 racer Rich Mortimer, and he gets well and truly wide, coming out lucky as he came out of the left-hander at Graham Hill, got wide and rattled his teeth there going across the curb.
Yeah, sometimes you just run that little bit wide and then you're obviously sucked into the curve and the grass, but he's very lucky. Fortunately, he was all upright.
So here comes Harvey Claridge, trying to make a move now on Franco Vaughan. Claridge, I think Claridge, there's an element of the kind of red glint in his eye, because he can see number 72 Casey O'Gorman ahead, and he wants to get on terms.
Retribution.
Is that a good thing to have? Is that kind of mistiness a good thing?
If it's controlled, then that's fine. Out of control.
Well, he's always seemed a pretty level-headed lad.
Very much so. I mean, he definitely didn't do anything wrong yesterday, but it was a racing incident. He obviously blamed Casey. Yeah, unfortunate.
So this is absolutely in the balance, this championship, and it's kind of almost more in the hands of Franco Bourne than it is in the hands of Charlie Farrar. Farrar just seems to be struggling a bit to keep the pace, and Franco Bourne's the guy who needs to try and deal with these two guys who are sandwiching him right now. And it sounds like Bailey Stewart Campbell. It's been decreed right here into Drew. It's crashed independently, and poor old Eddie O'Shea kind of got collected by the accident, so it was just very unlucky. Charlie Farrar's last lap was a 38.3 after that big run wide, which was about 0.4 of a second slower than Franco Bourne, who set the fastest lap of the race and now makes a stab at Surtees and makes a clean pass on the way in, but runs a little wide on the exit. And you know how quick O'Gorman is at this point.
This is what Charlie Farrar needs. He needs these three guys to maybe trip each other up a little bit. That slipstream is tantalisingly close for the number 71 there in fourth position. He's in fact on them now, and maybe that little rattle coming out of Graham Hill Bend woke him up.
And look at that move by Claridge, that suddenly that turns the tables in the championship again. Because that puts 16 points for third against 13 points for fourth, and that doesn't gulf that gap of 6 points between the two of them. So we're a bit back in the kind of land of the final round of Superstock 600 12 months ago here, where it gets changing every lap.
Well, that was a fantastic finale. There's no point making any calculations really till the last lap or the checkered flag.
So right now Charlie Farrar has that 3-point advantage, but somehow I don't think these positions are going to stay where they are as we complete lap 5 of 13, not yet at half race distance. And Harvey Claridge has got what he wanted, which was a confrontation with Casey O'Gorman, and he moves through into the lead.
Come and have a go.
Inviting O'Gorman. And Casey's not going to be shy. He has a look. Franco Bourne trying to go the long way around the kid. And Casey glances. He's very cool, that kid, isn't he? Casey looks around him a lot.
Yeah, very much so. And I don't think it's a panic or a stress. He is very confident. He's certainly looking like he's got the measure here.
He's already got experience in the CEV, that Spanish Repsol European Talent Cup. And won the final round of the season at Albacete last year. So he's got astonishing experience for one so young. And look at this, 4 abreast. And here Farrar tries to make a move, and he goes through inside Casey O'Gorman. But at the same time, he sees Franco Bourne take the lead off Harvey Claridge. So that again would swing it back in Franco Bourne's favour.
Complete reshuffle there.
Wow, so this is going to just keep happening with this quartet at the moment. No one seems to have it in them to move clear. Bourne's got the fastest lap so far of 37.92, but on the last lap Charlie Farrar did a 37.93 to go second fastest man of the race. And then that's how it bounces back in the other direction, and the race leader Franco Bourne is now throwing down the gauntlet to Charlie Farrar. Farrar needs to stay close. He's got to hang on and stay somewhere near Claridge so he can challenge. 16 flaps. Of course, I'd forgotten the wonderful nickname, Harvey Flaps Claridge. Running now in second place. It is, isn't it? I'd love to know how it came about. But as they storm up Halewood Hill, Charlie Farrar now in a worse position because he's been demoted by little Casey O'Gorman, and he needs to find a way back in to get amongst these guys. Franco Bourne, as we suspected he might, and down go the last two. A mistake by Casey O'Gorman wipes out the unfortunate Charlie Farrar, and that decides the championship.
That could be a safety car, Jack.
It certainly could, because the two of them then, that was a nasty little collision
there.
And let's hope Charlie Farrar's all right as we watch Harvey Claridge nip back in front of Franco Bourne, which is of course exactly what the luckless Charlie Farrar would have needed to happen.
Exit, so Casey O'Gorman just trying to make time up on the first and second place guys. Just has a little bit of a slide on the exit there, Graham Hill, and nowhere for Farrar to go, unfortunately.
That is bitterly unfortunate for Charlie Farrar. Wow, that was a nasty high side for the kid, and then he got kind of trapped under both bikes. Wow, so thankfully it looked like all the rest of the pack got past the melee that was in the road, so that mistake, and that looks like it might be an injury for Charlie Farrar. Poor boy. So Charlie Farrar, his last chance at this championship. But Neil, I believe that it's not just the winner of the championship who gets he gets the nod on the Red Bull Rookies
Yes,
Cup, is that
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But other lads can get invited to compete in
That's right.
International events.
In a normal year, 2 of these lads would be invited to the Red Bull Rookies MotoGP Cup selection event. There isn't going to be one, but they still will take riders for next year, so there's a good chance that maybe even one of these riders would get straight entry into the Red Bull Rookies MotoGP Cup in 2021. And also, one of the incentives for this championship as well is a full season in the talent team in the Junior World Championship. So again, I'm pretty sure that's up to Dorna to decide, or the organisers of the championship, who gets that incredible prize.
So Franco Born there is now absolutely nailed on after misfortune strikes both of his rivals, and neither their faults actually, which is just a regretful end to a terrific championship.
Great racing from young kids that have really shown how skillful they are and how much potential they've got, and to have 3 of the top 5 out of contention is such a shame.
Harvey Claridge briefly grabbed the lead there on the City Lifting SP125 Racing number 16, and then gets nudged back once again by Franco Born. Born on the Franco Born Racing SP125 bike. So Steve Patrickson will be pretty pleased to see this. Two of his motors running strongly at the front. And as they storm through, incidentally, your boy Corey Tinker has moved into 3rd place as a result of that catastrophe. So Corey Tinker on the Stout Fluid Power Academy bike will now be running in that distinctive number 37 colours.
There he is.
And here he is now involved with Evan Belford. And Belford, number 52. City Lifting by Ryan Saxelby Racing moves through inside and retakes that 3rd place.
And just having a look for number 48, little Ollie Walker, that had to start at the back of the grid. He's made decent progress. He's up to 16th, so knocking on the doors of a championship point.
These two having a really good ride. Evan Belford and Corey Tinker are 2 kids who've improved as the year's gone on. And Belford very sensibly has to leave a space there, because Tinker very determined as he came down the hill, and straight away Belford looks back.
Pretty evenly matched. It's been such good fun watching these guys progress this year and really come to the fore. But of course, this is the battle for the final podium of the final race in 2020, so pretty important.
So Franco Born versus Harvey Claridge, that's separated by just a couple of tenths of a second. These two, though, are at it hammer and tongs, constantly passing and repassing, about 12.5 seconds behind the race leader. Jamie Lyons is in 5th, James Cook in 6th, Sullivan Mounsey in 7th place, ahead of Ryan Hitchcock and Jonathan Garness. Another at the 12-year-old from Devon is there in 9th place, Harrison Crosby in 10th. And Walker, I'm just checking the gap, Walker was just 6/10 of a second, 600ths of a second off the points as he crossed the line.
Meanwhile,
and as we might have expected, once Franco Born had clear track, and there's the fastest lap of the race, 37.073. Oh, that's faster than yesterday by 6/10 of a second. So that does show, Neil, that the others had upped their game quite appreciably.
Very much so. I expected to see that, but Franco Born was good yesterday, and also track temperature's up. That's definitely going to help lap time.
There's Lyons, there's James Cook. Here's the battle going on behind them. Number 75 in familiar colours, but of course Jonathan Garness racing on the Michaelised Cresswell racing bike there, that little fella. So there's 12 and 13-year-olds in that team, but of course his 13-year-old teammate is already out as he insists on holding on ahead of number 46, Elliot Dufton. So impressive stuff from this kid Garness, because he was a bit of a latecomer to the series, 12-year-old, and his mum's from the Czech Republic, incidentally. So he's an English kid with Czechoslovakian input. He started riding mini motors when he was 7. He's still only 12 years old. Meanwhile, Belford still battling with Corey Tinker, and we've seen Belford's improvement over the last 2 or 3 rounds quite radically, but Corey Tinker, this is quite something to see him challenging so far and so hard for a podium. Yeah,
the racecraft's come on in leaps and bounds, and Ollie Walker grabbed another couple of places up to 13th, so great stuff from back of the grid now.
As as they go underneath the bridge, then the one of the fastest parts of the track, and then round one of the most challenging corners on the circuit. Side by side, look at this. Do we need any, shall we bother with slipstream? Yeah, we'll just tuck in for a moment and then see if we can cut inside. But Belford's got the pace. At the front on that lap, the gap had extended to 2.5 seconds with another fast lap. Franco Born, 36.87. Wow, that's 8/10 quicker than he achieved yesterday when he ran away with things.
Incredible, incredible, very impressive. This is fascinating. I think if I was Corey Tinker, I might just hold back. He's obviously comfortable following, and maybe just save the element of surprise for the last lap if I had somewhere I felt I was strong and then could cover myself right defensive to the line. But
on lap 11 of 13, and this is the battle that's going on for third place. And I think Franco Born's pit board is oh, this is Franco Born's pit board telling him this is a strange. This somehow reminds me of my wonderful native County Durham. All right, you're leading the race handsomely, but you could drop back to 6th place if you wanted to, and still be champion. Love it. I think I'd rather win the race.
I don't think he's going to choose that option.
I know,
somehow,
I think
Jack,
not.
this time.
He'd have to just about park up to choose that option.
Great logic.
6th place is James Cook, and he's
I like the big thumbs up.
Yes. That'll do nicely, thank you. You can see the gap he's got because he's already completed another lap. He's on to his 12th lap of 13. These lads now cross the line. And I think Franco Born has just got a bit exasperated with the back marker, but he's managed to make his way through. And I don't think he needs worry too much because he's extended that lead again as he crossed the line. It was 4.1 seconds. Oh, this is what happened.
Long way round there. Well, he's got a nice comfortable lead. It's not such a big drama, but yeah, I get his frustration. He's got a few lap riders coming up now.
Yeah, he's going to have to get used. Well, he certainly used the outside lane going through Hawthorns then. Wow.
Like Alexander Rowan from Dramara.
Yeah. And Franco Born, well, he's proving, as he did yesterday, that he's simply the fastest man in the field here at Brands Hatch. And if you're going to be the fastest man in the pack, then the last 2 rounds are the place to do it, really, aren't they?
Yeah, for sure.
That gives you a handsome chance of clinching the championship, and he's doing that in fine style. Then he's on his 12th lap of 13, so 1 lap to go then for Franco Born. And his dad holding a number 1 out. Well, when you consider it, Neil, it wasn't like this lad was showing that strongly, really, in the earlier stages of the championship, and he's come on so strong.
That's right, he's stronger and
half.
stronger, and able to deliver when it counts in difficult qualifying in wet conditions, damp, patchy track yesterday.
Yeah.
And he just showed his skill, showed his class. He dominated yesterday, as he has done today again.
I'll tell you who's going to be well pleased with this, and that's a certain gritty Scotsman called Jimmy Aird, who produces Scott Leathers in Barnard Castle, former factory Grand Prix motocrosser for CZ and CCM. And James, I think you'll be pretty happy to see your Scott Leathers in spectacular action here in the virtual champion.
Scott Leathers, a great supporter of racing for many years. James Whittam was, and he needed them. Tough leathers. James Whittam used Scott Leathers for a lot of years.
As they dive down Dingledell, a couple of more guys coming up for him to deal with as lappers, but I shouldn't think that will cause him too much bother. He's extended that lead now to 7.3 seconds over Harvey Claridge. So Claridge a clear second, Belford and Tinker still raging in that battle for 3rd place. And this is where, just take a little bit of care, son, don't do anything silly. He's going to go up cleanly up the inside and goes into the final turn. So it's going to be the Honda British Talent Cup champion of 2020. It is number 17, Franco Born. Brilliant. The Franco Born Steve Patrickson Racing Honda crosses the line, and hugs all round for the team from Crook in County Durham. 2nd place goes to Harvey Claridge. And then the battle for third place, it looks like Corey Tinker is going to snatch his first rostrum finish. He's just made a mini break on the city lifting bike. And as Corey Tinker comes round the final turn, is he going to make it? No, he's not. I think it got a bit nicked by Belford. Belford got the draft he needed, and by 500ths of a second, he stole third place from Corey Tinker. Bless him. James Lyons just beats James Cook. And there's the excitement of a champion for Franco Bourne. He's done it. So Franco Bourne then takes the Honda British Talent Cup of 2020. He's the race winner, he's the double race winner. Congratulations then for a fist-pumping Harvey Claridge. Congratulations for the rest of the boys. And congratulations to the family, who have doubtless put an awful lot of time and effort into this. Corey Tinker so unlucky to lose that race for third place. The 2020 Honda British Talent Cup champion Franco Bourne can enjoy the plaudits and the excitement of the whole thing. Do you remember your first what was your first championship victory, Neil?
Well, first British Championship was the 350 British Championship 1984, and it's the feeling is relief, especially if you're battling out with a couple of competitors. The first feeling is relief, and then joy when you come back. But I wasn't as exuberant as that.
I don't think I've ever thought of you as exuberant, young man.
No, I never want to kind of rub it in the face of my rivals. I wanted to beat them more than anything. But
where was that victory? Where did you clinch the title?
That was actually at Cadwell Park.
Wow.
I really like Cadwell Park, but I normally went in my camper and came out in an ambulance. That year I didn't.
So 1984 was a good year. Well, here, 36 years on, this young fella's just taken his first British Championship, his first kind of remotely adult British Championship. And he may have international competition ahead of him. Now, there's a thrill from a lad from Crooktown. So Bourne wins it from Claridge, Belford, narrowly from Tinker in a great dash for the line. Lyons and Cook also dashed for the line, with Lyons staving off Cook by 200ths of a second, 5th and 6th. Jonathan Garness, who's come on really well during the course of his short term in the championship, finished 7th, getting the better by a 10th of a second of Sullivan Mounsey. Elliot Dufton was 9th ahead of Ryan Hitchcock, and Ollie Walker made it up to 13th behind Rossi Dobson. And already mobile phones are in operation.
Steve Patterson, that is Steve Patterson, checking in.
Is he checking in?
SPHQ.
SPHQ saying, yep, we've done it. That must be good. So, yeah, Steve Patterson will be well chuffed, won't he? As indeed is everybody associated with this young fella.
Yeah, first ever Honda British Talent Cup winner. Fantastic.
Of course, this is the first time that Honda has been the kind of the sole bike supplier and title of the championship.
Brilliant.
Harvey Claridge very sportingly congratulates Franco Bourne, and he gave him a good run. They've got to say that Claridge managed to stay pretty close to him for the first part of the championship. Is that Steve Patterson on the right?
Yes.
Gosh, he's put on some weight since I last saw him. Has he given up the serial smoking then?
He's and replaced it with a cake drawer.
It looks like it.
So, he's a good lad, Steve.
Conrad, congratulations, SP. So let's check out the results then of that race, that championship clinching race. Clinched in style, double race winner at Brands Hatch, Franco Bourne. Harvey Claridge. And look at that, the Steve Patterson Racing go 1-2 with Franco Bourne and Harvey Claridge. The city lifting Ryan Saxelby Racing squad, with the younger Ryan Saxelby providing the power. Evan Belford nicks it by a whisker from Corey Tinker on the Stout Fluid Power Academy bike. And then it's Jamie Lyons also narrowly snatching 5th from James Cook. Jonathan Garness, such an impressive improvement on the microlized Creswell racing bike, ahead of Sullivan Mounsey, Elliot Dufton and Ryan Hitchcock on Wilson Racing. 11th place went to Harrison Crosby, and then Rossi Dobson. And that's the Banks Racing bike, of course, another of the great 125 tuners of the 125 era. Rossi Dobson in 12th. Ollie Walker storming through to 13th, again on the Steve Patrickson power, ahead of Mason K. Johnson. And Annabelle Thomas on the second Michael Creswell racing bike to finish. She snatches the last point in 15th place, ahead of Lucas Brown. The final standings in the championship then look like this, with Franco Bourne on 166, Charlie Farrer 19 points adrift, Eddie O'Shea just 3 points further back, neither of them of course being able to improve their scores. Harvey Claridge 4th in the championship on 122, Casey O'Gorman on 104 is 5th, only just eventually ahead of Evan Belford after Belford's very impressive late season. Corey Tinker also strong in the second half of the season, finishes 7th ahead of James Cook, Elliot Dufton and Harrison Crosby. 11th Brian Hitchcock ahead of Ollie Walker, Jamie Lyons, Bailey Stewart Campbell and young Jonathan Garness, the 12-year-old, in 15th place.
Franco Bourne, you are the 2020 Honda British Talent Cup champion, your first British title. I mean, the smile you've had on your face since you came into Parc Fermé says it all. How are you feeling right now?
I can't really believe it. It's just crazy. It was a really hard race. I dropped back, managed to get back forward. I wasn't sure where Charlie came behind me, so I wasn't sure if I'd actually got it, but so happy when I did. It's just great. You
started in this championship in 2018. You came 14th there. You're in the Motor Stars last year, came 3rd. First, how does it feel to actually be on the top step?
Yeah, it's been surreal, really. I've been trying to do it for 3 years now, but we've got it done this year. It just feels great.
And this weekend at Brands couldn't have gone any better either. 25 seconds was the gap yesterday to your victory. Today you were dominating again. You know, what went so right for you this weekend?
I've had a lot of success at this track with the Super Teens and also here with BSB. It's just to try to get on with. I really enjoy it, and it just came sort of easy to me this weekend.
At one point, I think on your pit board it said you could drop back to 6th. Was that ever in your mind? Were you ever going to do that?
No, definitely not. I was trying to get the front from the get-go and go forward, but I couldn't quite do that at the start, but I managed to do it in the end, which was really good.
Yeah, obviously, this is kind of a benchmark for you to go on to the Red Bull Rookies Cup. Is that the plan for yourself now?
We're not sure, really. We'll have a speak with family and everything and just take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. How proud are your family of you right now, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I'd just like to thank all my sponsors, everyone, my dad, my granddad, my dad, my mum, Steve Patrickson, everyone else. Can't really name everyone, but yeah.
Franco Bourne, you are the champion. Congratulations once again. Go and enjoy this.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, he may have looked absolutely enthralled when he was on his slowing down lap, but he's as cool-headed as Neil Mackenzie when it comes to interviewing afterwards. So Franco Bourne then, well chuffed with himself, very cool. But there you go. He's had lots of success here. He likes this place. He's won here in the Aprilia Super Teens, and he certainly proved just how quick he was around here by blitzing the rest of the pack in both races. The podium will feature once again Evan Belford on the City Lifting Ryan Saxelby bike. He takes yet another rostrum finish on bike number 52. The lad from Grendon. Second place in the race goes to the very generous Harvey Claridge. Ryan Saxelby racing there. Nice to see Ryan get the bike up there on the box. But it's Steve Patrickson who gets the 1-2. Harvey Claridge in second place, and the race winner and the champion in the Honda British Talent Cup is that very cool-headed lad from Crook. And well done, boys. It's been a really entertaining series these kids have put on. Our condolences to Eddie O'Shea and Charlie Farrer, and to Casey O'Gorman. Let's hope that they're all well. And our congratulations, fulsome congratulations to Franco Bourne, who's won that championship in style. And I think we'll just have Eddie O'Shea and Franco Bourne on the championship podium, because poor Charlie Farrer, as I suspected, has been taken to the medical centre because he certainly looked a bit second-hand after that collision with Casey O'Gorman's high-siding motorcycle. So there you are, Dad. That's. I'll take the water, you take the trophy, you take my helmet. So Franco Bourne then, look, as he's calmly said to Rach, he's not sure what he's going to do next year. He needs to sit down with his sponsors and his family and see what, because these major commitments for families when you've got lads this young and they go off racing, because they could end up anywhere. Eddie O'Shea, bless him, looks like he's got over the tears now, because his frustration at being wiped out going into Druids at the beginning of the race, obviously. He had led the championship when we arrived here at the beginning of the weekend. But he very sportingly applauds Franco Bourne. This is motorbike racing. Even as young lads, they're terrific sportsmen. So a gracious loser on the right and a jubilant winner on the left. Congratulations once again then to the Honda British Talent Cup winner Franco Bourne, and of course to Eddie O'Shea, who we'll hopefully see more of next season. This was the final race then, and what a scorching start by Franco Bourne. We were thinking he's going to do the same as he did yesterday and just take off at the front, but actually that wasn't going to happen, because that tiny figure behind him, Casey O'Gorman, was well keen. But look what happened to the unfortunate Eddie O'Shea, the former championship leader, got taken out at the top of the hill. And meanwhile, Casey O'Gorman, flyweight that he is, flew past Franco Bourne early on. And the other guy in contention for the championship, number 71, Charlie Farrer, just had to stay close to number 17, Franco Bourne, and stay close they did. Absolutely nip and tuck, 4 abreast as they went down Pilgrim's Drop. Franco Bourne taking the lead, and then this awful moment when O'Gorman high-sided, took out Farrer. Farrer crashes really heavily on that right shoulder, and that reduces the championship to a single man. Number 17, Franco Bourne, does it in style, and the County Durham lad then takes victory, takes the championship behind him. Look at Belford just nicking 3rd place, but Franco Bourne is the Honda British Talent Cup champion.